Alright, how we doing, folks? Welcome back to another edition of Dirty Days Garage. Today we're going to be doing an oil change on a 2008 Scion XB. For those of you that know me, know I play music, and great little car for musicians. Got tons of storage room in the back, gets great gas mileage, so when you're running around to gigs, it's like the perfect musician's vehicle. So we're going to be talking about a couple things regarding this car, some issues that are known to happen with this and other Toyotas that use the 2.4 Camry engine. So stay tuned, and we're going to get it up on the lift, and we're going to go through the process. Alright, one of the Dirty Days quick tips before you get your car jacked up to do your oil change, or if you're fortunate enough to have a lift, putting it up on the lift. Something I always do before I drain the oil, I loosen up the plug, the fill cap up top. Just lets air in, lets the oil drain out a lot faster. If you got air coming in from the top of the engine, just helps push the oil out. And make things a little faster for you, make sure it drains well. So just a quick tip. Alright, just a quick safety tip. Once you get your car up, if you are using a lift, even if you're not, if you're jacking the car up, put some jack stands or safety stands under it. A lift is a mechanical device, it can fail, and you don't want a car coming down on your head, so it never hurts to be a little extra safe, put a little extra support under it. Alright, so our first order of business is going to be drain the old oil on the Scion. This is our oil pan. This is the oil pan plug. We're going to be taking that out. We're going to put something under here. We'll show you in a second. But that's what we're going to be draining and getting all the old oil out. So we'll get that ready and show you how that's done. Alright, so you're going to need a 14mm ratchet or wrench or whatever you got. Put it on here. I just broke mine loose, but I did use a little extension pipe. Anything you can use in as an extension pipe gives you a little leverage when you got a tight bolt. Crack it loose. Once you crack it loose, I generally just take it out by hand. You notice I'm wearing my Harbor Freight gloves. You buy these by the box, these little like surgical gloves. Keep your hands clean. You don't want oil and crap all over them. Work the plug out. My drain, you can actually drop it if you have to, but you'll notice that oil's pretty dark. There's a reason for that. I always, before I do an oil change, about 100 miles before I know I'm going to do it, I dump a half a can of Seafoam cleaner in the engine, mix it in with the oil, just pour it right in with the oil. I'm going to make a separate video and talk about the issues that some of these Toyotas and Scions have with the 2.4 engine. They have a problem with the rings on the pistons that are supposed to scrape the oil back into the engine, getting clogged up with gook, and then they stop being able to keep the oil in the engine, and it ends up getting burned out, and you go through oil really fast. It looks like you have a bad oil leak, but you're not leaking oil anywhere. And they did extend the warranty on these engines because to fix it correctly, you're supposed to take the engine apart, put a different piston ring in that has a different design that's not supposed to foul up like that. But I found with mine, I started putting the Seafoam in before I do my oil change, and it stopped it. It's not burning any oil now between changes, and I just put a half can in about 100 miles before I change the oil, drive it, let it work through everything, clean the gunk off the piston rings and everything else in your engine. I'll put the other half in the gas tank because it cleans your fuel system as well. It's good stuff. Not getting paid, no endorsement from Seafoam, but it is a good product. If I got a bottle laying around here, I'll find it and show it to you. But you can get it at any auto parts store. About 10 bucks for a bottle. Well worth it. All right, we're going to let that drain, and we'll be right back. One more tip I wanted to mention: when you do get your plug out, I always take a clean rag. Wipe the plug off real good. Some plugs are magnetized. They may have some metal filings from your motor or some other contaminants on it, but take it off, make sure it's nice and clean, and put it somewhere you're not going to lose it. So you remember to put it back on. You don't want to start filling your car up with oil and have it all drain right back out because you forgot your plug. Alright, in the next step we're going to take that oil filter off. You can see it up there behind the oil pan. It's a little white filter. I wanted to get down here with the light just so you could see it better. But for this we're going to use an actual oil filter wrench. There are various types you can get. I have an assortment of them because I always do my own oil changes. But mine just goes right on the ratchet. We're going to stick it up there. It's under the flap on the Scion. Just get it up in there, slide it over the old filter. It shouldn't be on too tight. You just crack it loose once you get a hold of it. Alright, once it starts coming loose, get it out of the way. This is usually the messy part of the job. We're going to slide our drain over a little. Like I said, once you start loosening it, the oil's going to come gushing out all over the place. See what coming? There it comes now. Let that drain a little bit. And we'll pull it off the rest of the way. Go ahead and pause the camera while that drips loose. Okay, before you put your new oil filter on, one thing you want to do after you pull the old one off, this is the new one, but check and make sure the rubber gasket came off with your old oil filter. If it's stuck to your car, you want to make sure you pull that off, otherwise you're not going to get a good seal, you're going to have an oil leak. So just make sure that little rubber, it doesn't happen very often, but I have seen it happen. But before you put your new one on, you want to take a little oil. Really, you should use clean oil, but you just want to get that ring wet. Put a little film of oil on it. We're just going to dip our finger in here, rub a little oil on it. Make sure it gets a good seal. That just helps seal everything up. And then start it by hand. Reach up in there, look for the, you'll see there's like a little socket it goes on. And just gently spin it until it catches. You don't want to force it, you don't want to cross thread it. It should spin freely until you get it up on there. We got it about hand tight now, and you don't want to put these on real tight. Not much more than hand tight. Otherwise you have a hell of a time getting them off when it's time to change it again. So I'm just hand tightening. We've got it pretty good, and then we'll put the wrench on it. Just snug it up just a bit with the wrench. Not a lot. Again, you don't want to over tighten it. Put our wrench on there. And just give it a little tweak. That's it. You're not going to crank down on it hard. I put the bolt back in, the drain plug. I'm going to tighten that up. You can make that one pretty snug. But again, don't go crazy. It's not going anywhere. Just give it a good crank and get it snug. Now our oil is drained at this point. And I'm going to start another little video here, probably just link to it, but whenever every couple oil changes I do, I will also drain some of the transmission fluid out, whatever's in the transmission plant. It doesn't drain all your transmission fluid. You might get 3 quarts out of it. Probably holds, I don't know, 7-10 quarts. A lot of it's stored up in the transmission itself, but this way I'm always putting some fresh transmission fluid in. I've had bad luck taking cars before to places that do those transmission flushes, depending on how they do it. I've had cars come back after having that done, and then the transmission starts slipping. The pressure they use, I don't know what it does, but it may have messed up some valves in the transmission. So just to make sure I keep some fresh fluid in circulating, I'll just drain some off, and then I'll fill it with the fresh fluid every other oil change or so. That way I've always got fresh fluid going in the tranny. And you know, if you're interested in doing that, check out my other, I'll put another video up with that showing you how to do that. But as far as the oil goes, we've got all the old oil out. We got the new filter on. Everything is snugged up. Again, double check. Make sure you put your bolt in. Hand tighten it. Hand screw them in. Don't force them. You don't want to cross thread anything when you're putting this back together. But once you got them in and they've screwed in smoothly, then you can snug them up with the wrench. Get them good and tight. Except for the oil filter. You just want to snug that one down good and give it a little tweak with the wrench. And let it go. That's all you need to do. We're going to be getting this down in a minute, and we'll talk about putting your oil back in. Alright, so we got all our oil drained out. Got it down off the lift, getting ready to fill it back up. You notice on your oil fill cap, which comes right out off the valve cover here, it'll actually tell you the recommended oils. This Toyota Scion with a 2.4 liter engine. This is a 2008. Recommends either SAE 520 or a 020 weight oil. The difference is the 520 is just a little bit thicker than the 020. It's December here in Maryland, getting ready to get into the winter time, so I went with the 020. It's a little bit thinner, doesn't thicken up as much. Sometimes you even notice a little better gas mileage with the thinner oil running in the car. But it's, I'm using a synthetic, not necessary, but you can go a little longer between changes using a synthetic. So we're going to pour this in, we're going to fill it up. When I get about 4.5 quarts in, this is a 5-quart container, I'm going to stop and I'll start checking my dipstick because you don't want to overfill your oil. So I'm going to pause the camera while we pour the oil in and take care of that. Alright, so we got our oil in, our new oil. Make sure the last thing you do is check and make sure you put your oil filler cap back on. Screw it down tight. I kept checking the oil. I put about probably just a little over 4.5 quarts in for this engine. There was a little bit left in the jug, so I'll save that. But I'll check it in a week, or the next time I get gas, I'll pull the dipstick, check it, make sure it's still on the full mark. And if it's low, I'll top it off when I get home. Little quick tip again, while I got the hood up, it is winter time's coming. I'm going to top off my windshield washer fluid while I got the hood open, and that'll take care of most of my maintenance ready for winter. I've got some winter tires I put on also, a little more aggressive tread pattern. I'll be putting them on in the front here in a moment. But oil's done, and if you link to my other video, I'm going to go just about getting ready to put my fresh transmission fluid in, so make sure you check on that video to see how I do that. And happy motoring, and take care of your cars and they'll take care of you. This is Dirty Dave wishing you all a good day, and we'll see you next time. One more quick tip with your oil change when you're finished, after you make sure you got your oil filler cap on, make sure when you get your oil from the auto parts store, you pick up a few of these stickers, these little oil change stickers, so you can write down how many miles you had and what the date was when you did your oil change. And just stick it up in your windshield on the inside of the car, just so you keep an eye on it and know when you need to change your oil again. Alright, so after changing your oil, you're going to need to reset your maintenance light that comes on. To do that, have your key in the off position, and you have to have your odometer reading set to the trip A position. So what you want to do is turn the key to the on position without starting the car while you're holding down the trip meter reset knob. So I'm going to push that in, turn it to on. You see the maintenance required lights flashing. You got to hold it down for at least 5 seconds, and then should clear it. So we'll try it now, see if it goes away. And the maintenance light's off now. That's how you reset it.